Sanbonani, my graduates, Bazali. Siyanamukela e-University of Zululand. Bengicela ukubeka nje just few house rules as a reminder. Ngicela osingabo bafake ama-hood bonke. And i-hood esigqokayo ilesi sizoyilanda namhlanje. Esizoyigqokiswa ngokomthetho. Ayikho enye efanele kube siyigqokile. Ngizocela ukuthi uma sekungena abaphathi be-university siphakame sonke abazali kunye nama-graduates kuze kube uyasiyalela ukuthi asihlale phansi. Kananjalo asinakwazi ukuphuma engakasho ukuthi sesingaphuma. La stage kunama blocks awu-2. Uma ufika netag yakho uzoyinikeza u-HOD okanye uDean ozobe emila ngimi khona. And then udlule emva kwakhe uzoma on the first block phakathi nayo and face the camera. Uthi kancane imask eceleni ukuze phela ithombe zakho uzibone. And then immediately eqeda ukubiza igama lakho, then you proceed to the next block. Ikhona enye elapha ya ekweyesibili ufike ungene kuyona whereby uregister will be standing behind you and take the last picture yase stage. Immediately uqeda ubuyisela imask and uya exita stage. Udlule ioffice lika register, they are sitting there at the corner. La uzofika khona uthola udaba lakho le-certificate. Siyazwana, ma-graduates. Ma-graduates. Ngiphinde angithi. Uma sifika la stage, uzoma ngapha, uhand over i-tag lo iphethe ngesandla. The time uqeda ukumnika yona, you start moving. Uzoma kwi-box khona esiyakhile la ungene phakathi kuyona and face the first camera nansi la phambi kwami ingifacile. The minute eqeda ukukhola igama lakho, then you start proceeding to the next box eyenziwe lapha ngezandla, which is the second one. La uzofika khona uregister uzobe emngemva kwakho. That is your second picture yase stage. Then from there ubuyisela imask and then bese uyaphuma stage and walk down uzoziyofika lapha kwi-office laka register where you will be taking your certificate. Siyazwana ke manje. Asizuhlala kakhulu kuyashesha khona. Inyama bebeqala ekhaya beyosa ngoba usendleleni. Kuyashesha khona uLesihlanu ngiyazi. Ngiyazi uLesihlanu. Akube mnandi ke ngicela umuntu abe sure ukuthi ngike ngabona abantu bemuva iyasdisturba because indlela enihleli ngayo indlela elifanele nibizeke ngayo amagama enu masenifika lana. Ngicela ubheke ukuthi usahleli esihlalweni esihambisana nale tag oyiphethe na, ngoba uma usumuvile kuyona kusinikeza inkinga thina ngapha nawe ugcina usunenkinga. Sibe sifake ama-hoodie correct sonke. Okay, sizolinda nje imzuzu engemngaki sezizongena izikhulu ze-university. Siqhubha umcimbi wenu obalekile wosuku enizoqedela emakhaya. Thina sizowuqala, nina nizoqedela nabazali emakhaya. Siyabonga. Okay, oh sorry, PhD people, if nifika a stage, yours is different. You will wait, they will read your yes. Then from there, you walk towards the Chancellor of the university, and then from there to the box. So yours is a bit different, it's a V. You from the box to the Chancellor, from the Chancellor to the box. Thank you. I hope you understand the but staff sase a university sizobe senisiza la ukuthi kuhanjwa kanjani. Thank you. Asive sinithanda ke. Asinithandi maye. Nabazali bayanithanda maye. Kodwa besicela estage angafiki umuntu acule la stage bakwethu. Jabula udlule. Siyazwana bantakwethu. Asikuvimba ukujabula. Jabula udlule. Ungabe phela usucula. How? Okay. Hayi nibahleka nina banoso science nesobe nikwenze lokho. Angithi siyavumelana. Ngiyabonga mina. Thank you. Good people, njengoba ngikhuluma la, imask yami izingcolile igcwele makeup nansi. Ingoba ngiyakhuluma la, mangisuka la I put it on. Guys, my graduates, bazali, asixoxisani ngemask. Sigcina umthetho esiubekelwe. My graduates, ayihlale esilevini, ayihlale endlebeni, ayihlale ekhwapheni. Ilapha. That is why ngithi umusula uzoyikhiphela ukuthi you are taking a pic and you walk, ufike uthathe another pic, you put the mask back. Ngiyacela bosisi, fakani ama-mask. Ngiyanicela bobhuti, fakani ama-mask. Because ama-health professionals azovela sukume akukhiphe and it will be bad. Ngoba vele kufanele bakukhiphe besishilo sathi uma ungayifakile imask awukwazi ukuhlala nathi. Siyacela ke bazalwane, ake senzeni kanjalo bataba. Bazali, siyacela nani nenze njalo phezulu. Sithanda ukunibona. Njengoba sebeqeda fanele basebenze banondle. Siyacela bantakwami. Khona nje abathi nje unoche ngesifake thina imask. Guys, please, it's your last day. Faka imask. Njoba ngimi la ngiyababona bangawafakile ama-mask. Please put your mask la kufanele ihlale khona. Thank you.
Quando gira con me questa notte.
Bengicela siphakame sonke sekuyangena.
By virtue of the powers conferred upon me as acting Chancellor of the University of Zululand, I hereby consecute this congregation for the conferment of degrees and awarding of diplomas and certificates. You may be seated. The motto of the sector remains that of saving lives and the academic project. It is with this in mind and respecting the sanctity of life, the proceedings of the graduation have been altered to ensure that we remain compliant with the protocols to address the pandemic. Graduates are expected to have worn their hoods as they approach the stage, and I thank you.
I'm reading from Amos chapter 4, verse 13. For behold, he who forms the mountains and creates the wind and declares to humans what is his thought, who makes the morning darkness and threads on the heights of the earth. The Lord, the God of hosts, it's her name. Let us pray. God, the omniscient, we know that seasons, moon phases, tide patterns, and constellation reveal that you are orderly and faithful to us as your creation, and that science is your gift to humanity. You gave us the mandate to protect the environment while improving crop yields, trapping carbon into the soil, and lowering soil erosion. You also gave us the task of continuing to build a better world on this planet and in the universe by giving engineers the ability to learn from your creation in order to create and build items that benefit the rest of your creation. So, gracious God, we now ask you to inspire us with your continual grace so that as we begin this graduation ceremony, we may learn to appreciate your goodness towards us. Bless all those who have been given tasks to perform. May they know your loving presence amongst them. Gracefully surround those who are graduating today, blessing them with hope so that they may look forward to the future with excitement and open hearts. Assist them in putting their skills and insights gained from studying to good use for all humankind. Endow them with the curiosity of new inventions, as we believe your Son Jesus was. Encourage them to believe in the goodness of life even in the face of adversity. May they become more appreciative and intelligent as they begin their lives. Lord, we humbly beseech you that this crop may yield the Albert Einsteins, the John Deeres, the Leonardo da Vinci's, the Cecilia Makiwanes, the Rapelang Rabanas, the Mamkhet Mpakengs, and Zoto Dlaminis. Lord, in your mercy, we ask that you graciously hear our prayers through Jesus Christ, the greatest scientist, agriculturalist, and engineer, whose core values were integrity, creativity, accountability, respect, team spirit, transparency, honesty, open-mindedness, making constant and incremental progress and problem solving. Amen.
Acting Chancellor of the University of Zululand, Professor Xolisa Mtose, Chairperson of Council of the University, Ms. Nomorashia Kaluza, members of University Council, President of Convocation, Mr. Ngonyana, who is not here with us, members of executive and the management committees, representatives of the Mkhwanazi Traditional Authority and Amakosi, dignitaries and honors guests, staff and students, and before I forget, also our former and now member of our convocation, Dr. Lidelani Mkize, who received an honorary doctorate at this university. Can you stand, sir, so that they can see you again? And most importantly, our graduandi. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this important event in the almanac of the university. The significance of today's achievement is a mark of perseverance against formidable odds. This starts with schooling. Research shows that learners who make it to higher education represent about 50% of the cohort that started in grade 1. Let me put it sharply by way of example. Of the 1.4 million children who enrolled in grade 1 in 1998, only 552,000 made it to matric in 2009. This means close to 1 million children are swallowed into this big dark hole every year. Of this, a fraction makes it to tertiary. According to Higher Education South Africa, under 1/3 of these students complete their studies in regulation time. Our graduate rate of 15% is among the lowest in the world. These statistics are shocking, but they underscore the fact that yours is no mean achievement. You represent a very small minority of the elite and the privileged in our society. Today's graduations are significant as they come at a time when the country and the whole world are grappling with the onset of the devastating COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has had a disastrous effect on teaching and learning. You succeeded despite having to contend with the odds of having to study remotely, disconnected from the lecturers and your fellow students. And still, you prevailed. But I want to cast your achievement differently, to speak about your graduation as the beginning of an obligation. Many of you here are beneficiaries of some form of scholarship or another. Many of you, if not all of you, succeeded because of the efforts of your parents, siblings, teachers, neighbors, friends, sponsors that believed in you. They took a chance on you. We are grateful that you did not disappoint. As a beneficiary of the kindness of others, expectations are that you'll do the same. It is the only way that we can make this world a better place. It is by being generous with our time and service. In doing so, we will be responding to the call best captured by the former President of the United States, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, when he declared, "Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country," unquote. In these perilous and difficult times, when all about us seem to collapse, we have an obligation to keep hope alive and to give hope a chance. This graduation, taking place in the grip of a devastating epidemic, is on its own an expression of that hope. We have lived through it by being responsible, adhering to the medical protocols that were crafted for our benefit. We cannot afford to take that lightly. We need to keep reminding ourselves that we are the lucky ones. For the grace of God, we were spared. We thus cannot afford the luxury of being disconnected from the great social upheavals of our times, we, who are children of the poor, cannot and should not shy away from responding to the needs of the still marginalized in our communities. We need to see the patterns and linkages between diseases and poverty, the relationship between social justice and life expectancy, and how the battle is about dignity and human rights, as Larry Brilliant will put it. It is worth noting that service is at the center of this university's strategic plan. The plan seeks, among other things, to transform our university into an institution which, in the first instance, serves the needs of the African constituency and intellectually wears the investment of its social environment, an institution which responds to the needs of society in which it is located and helps to transform for the better the lives of the people in whose preoccupation and location is embedded. I will be remiss, Acting Chancellor, if I do not commend the faculties and supervisors for sustaining the knowledge project and knowledge creation. This year, we have a sizable number of doctoral candidates, 24 coming from the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, 7 from the Faculty of Science, Agriculture, and Engineering, 14 from the Faculty of Education, and finally 3 from Commerce, Administration, and Law. Deans of faculties, you have outdone yourself. I think you deserve a big applause. As we prepare ourselves for the life of service, let us be inspired by the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King had this to say: if it falls your lot to be a street sweeper, sweep it so well, like Michelangelo painted pictures. Sweep it so well, like Beethoven composed music. Sweep it so well, like Shakespeare wrote poetry. And sweep it so well, so that all the host of heaven and earth will pause and say, here lies a great street sweeper who did his job so well. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and congratulations. At this point, I have the honor of introducing my friend, brother, and almost an extended family. This is not a claim, it's simply a statement of fact. Robert Gumede. Robert Gumede is a South African businessman and philanthropist. He's also one of the most accomplished business leaders and investors. Moreover, Mr. Gumede is a global entrepreneur. And most of all, he is the executive chairman of the Guma Group, a group of diversified companies that employ 12,000 people around the world. He studied law at the University of Zululand in the late 80s. So for Mr. Gumede, this is a homecoming. And I must say, Acting Chancellor, when the Director of Marketing and Communication was trying to get hold of Mr. Gumede, she was complaining because she could not get hold of him. I told her that he is probably not in the country, because he's rarely in the country, because he is a global entrepreneur. The Guma Group is a leading black-owned company with a string of international businesses, mostly spanning across information technology, mining, energy, tourism, infrastructure, and hospitality. Mr. Gumede is firstly a smart business strategist, and secondly, a visionary leader with business operations in Africa and various countries all over the world. His reach, which is very important for the graduates, includes the United States of America, United Kingdom, Brazil, Australia, India, Russia, Spain, Turkey, Chile, Japan, Caribbean, and also the Middle East. So if you want to be part of the world, you know who to talk to. But of course, there are protocols in how you do that. Mr. Gumede is, however, a very proudly South African who is born and was born in Mpumalanga. He's a Pan-Africanist and a global citizen. He was the 2005 runner-up for the South African chapter of the World Entrepreneur of the Year Award. Mr. Gumede is also one of South Africa's most recognizable philanthropists. His charity, the Kenny Foundation, has given away millions in scholarship to students. He has a clear vision regarding development in Africa. He understands the parallels of socio-political enhancement anchored by the economic development of the African continent. Through education, human capital development, industrialization, and infrastructure development, Africa will be able to create sustainable jobs and economic development. But mostly, and most importantly, the generation of much needed investment. Ladies and gentlemen, before I get personal, maybe I should call Mr. Gumede to present.
Acting Chancellor, Professor Mtose, Acting Vice Chancellor, Professor Siepe, various Deputy Vice Chancellors, the Registrar, lecturers and staff of the university, the esteemed Chairperson of Council, Ms. Kaluza, Noma Russia. When we talk about Noma Russia, we don't know if the chairperson is Vladimir Putin. Comrade SRC President Kosiapa Dumisa and members of the SRC. Esteemed and responsible parents who are the reason why we are gathered this morning. Obviously, Osingai, those of you who are robed this morning, when you think back, the rope was used to maim our forefathers. Some of them were hanged using ropes, others it was chains, and their minds were hoped to be chained. But because we are children of warriors, we are gathered this morning, and I would like to ask each one of us to bow our heads for the families who have lost their loved ones and their properties during the recent floods. Thank you. I would like to thank the university Chancellor for inviting me as a keynote speaker at this August event. For me, indeed, Professor Siepe, it's a homecoming. 2 years ago, I was in Ghana when black Americans came in thousands for their homecoming, because it was over 400 years since their forefathers and foremothers were chained and taken to the United States of America. As African, we have something that is common. We all want to know where Inkaba Yethu is, where we come from, where our parents and forefathers have been buried. It's a universal cry of Africans, whether they are black Americans, whether they are in Jamaica smoking Zol, just like the people of Lusikisiki and the Drakensberg, where I believe, Dr. Lindelan Mkize, that the wheat coming from those areas is the best in the world. No wonder Elon Musk is doing so well in the world, because he ships the marijuana from the South African high mountains of Lusikisiki and the Drakensberg. We're meeting and celebrating this morning because of you, the smart ones. You know, Chairperson, when you were a student studying science, we knew you were elite. We knew you were the smartest. And that's who you represent, because you shift the world. Today, you look so beautiful, robed in black, to celebrate your ancestors' wildest dreams that have pushed you not to be like Europeans, but to be better. Even though our ancestors were not allowed to study by the law of the colonizers, their dream was to make a better life for you and for all of us. When I received the invitation to be a keynote speaker for this graduation ceremony, I was deeply heartened. I quickly zoomed back to my years as a student here, not at the University of Zululand, but at Ongoye. I too, just like you, am a product of this esteemed institution. Those years and experience were the turning point in my life and for many of my friends. Those years shaped and polished me like a diamond to be who I am today. I hope you stay. Here at Ongoye, University of Zululand has been rewarding and have become a game changer in your lives through gaining knowledge and making lifelong friends, partners, and business partners. The graduation ceremonies of the University of Zululand are legendary because of Omama, what they do when ingane yabo igraduata. You can go anywhere in the world. Ayikho graduation eba mnandi, a family focus than graduation yalapho Ongoye. Oh mama, oh baba, together with oh malume, they sacrifice imali yempesheni ukuze sifunde. Usuku la namuhla nje alona usuku lwenu as students who are bearing the torch but usuku labazali for the sacrifice that they have taken. They remain our heroes and heroines. Can you please give your ancestors and parents, guardians, siblings, a round of applause? Who will believe it today that until early 80s, black students, if they wanted to go to the university, especially white universities, had to apply to the Minister of Police, Minister of Bantu Affairs, and the Minister of Education for Bantus to authorize a black kid to go into a white university. And it is very important that as you graduate today, you think back of the sacrifice by our families, sacrifice by communities who put monies together to send their best students to go and study at universities like this one. During those days, there were very few black universities. I come from Nelspruit in Mpumalanga. We never had a university. We had only two choices. You could go to University of the North if you spoke Shangaan or you spoke Pedi. If you spoke Zulu, you had only one alternative, which is the University of Zululand. Thanks to President Zuma, in 2009, he approved the first ever university in Mpumalanga. Oh, what a day and decade you were born, as most of you are millennials. You are the Mandela's born frees. You are also graduating during interesting times as the global world resets to a new exciting chapter of globalization. For you to understand the foundation that is rock solid for you to launch a next chapter in your life, I just want to share a little bit. As Professor Siepe mentioned some. When you are born, parents have a dream for you. Uma uzalwa, umzali uba ne-dream athi na hawu ngizela udokotela. Hayi, ngizela uthisha. Hayi lo mfana wami lo strict kakhulu ufuna abe yiphoyisa. This is what parents do. They want you to become what they hope to be themselves. When I was born, I was named Robert, after Robert Kennedy, a lawyer and an Attorney General of the United States. His brother, J.F. Kennedy, was the President of the United States. He's the one who signed the law to take a man to the moon. he was assassinated because he was liberal. Robert Kennedy came and visited President Mandela in prison. Robert Kennedy met many of our leaders, including Umntwana kaPhindangene. In his pursuit to become the next president of the United States of America. He was assassinated in a hotel room, and he never became a president. So, Professor Siepe, I want to dispel the notion that there was a Robert Kennedy that wanted to be a president. Is that there will be no other Robert who runs for president since President Robert Mugabe died. I am standing here on shoulders of two phenomenal women, my departed mother and my grandmother, who not only raised me, but raised my siblings and cousins and nieces. My mother was a live-in domestic worker, and she left us, 5 of us then, with our grandmother, who was also a domestic worker. We all lived in a 3-roomed house with my granny and my uncle, who occupied the only 2 bedrooms, whilst we turned the kitchen floor under the kitchen table into a bedroom. I had a challenge because the toilet was outside. So I had a challenge when I was growing up of being scared to go outside. And you know, when it was time for me to relieve myself, what I did. All can see. I will wet the floor and the reed mat. And once I felt, no, a mistake has happened, I will swap places with my cousins so that in the morning I do not get punished. That was the beginning of being a smart businessman. We live close by a golf course. My older brother, Mishek, worked as a golf caddy and as a gardener after school. When I turned 7 years old, I followed him to the golf course. I started working. And no sooner, I also got a job from the white golfer to be a gardener from 7 years old. And when I did that, it was not by choice, it was by circumstances that we needed to put a plate on the table, not only for myself, but for the family of over 10 that we lived with. The golf course in Nelspruit, where I caddied, I put in a lot of money to turn the golf course around. Today, that golf course is called Robert Gumede Golf Course. I also got married at the golf course. just because it represents, just like University of Zululand, a very important building block in my life. When I was kidding, I was well liked because I was always clean. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink. And I was a very good golf caddy. I even caddied for Gary Player. And I had chosen a club for another golfer. And he hit a nice shot, almost the ball went into the hole. And I said to him, "Mooi squat, meneer. Good shot, sir." He took out his cigarette, and he was giving me a cigarette, and he said, "Don't call me meneer, call me Bas." And because at that time, I understood what Bas means. I didn't want to chain myself. And I dropped the bag and I left him to carry it himself. I came to this university because, thanks to the government of Enos Mabuza in the Bantustan government of Gangwane, who gave me a bursary to come and study Diploma Juris here at Otongoye. Whilst I was here, we studied hard during the week. The weekends were the best of times. There was a well-known nightclub called Tiptoe in Skawini. From Friday until Sunday, late hours of the morning, we did our thing. But on Monday, we were sweating to make sure that we do not disappoint our parents. Those who did not do well, because they spent more time at Tiptoe and never studied, Mhlatuze River was very fierce. Amakhosi bekahamba noMhlatuze. So you needed to have a balance. Study hard and party hard only for a short space of time. We know that after the 1976 riots, which are commonly called Soweto riots, but they were all over the country. The university started getting students from Johannesburg or Gauteng. There was no part of South Africa that was not represented at this institution. It became a melting pot for African students. The difference for the university, unlike many others, is that it was steeped in Ubuntu. The university was steeped in Ubuntu. This is what made the university to be a university of choice for parents to send their children. And because of that character that was built in this university, you see it reflected in every student who studied here. Isn't it great that the Chancellor of the university, I do not mean Prof. Mtoso because she's acting, we are so proud that one that was produced by the University of Zululand today is the Chief Justice of South Africa. I think I sat on the same desk he sat on. Today, I'm one of many African businessmen in this country who are the first generation businessmen in our families. Because remember one thing, the apartheid government had a system. In every township that they built, at the entrance of the township, there will be a bus stop. Next to the bus stop, there will be a beer hall. So that our parents, mainly our fathers, when they come back from work, the first place they go to is not their homes. It is the beer hall. So that when they go home, they abuse our mothers. So that they can kill family unit. So that in us, in our minds, we'll know how useless our fathers are. Because they come drunk and beat up our parents, our mothers. It was systematic and it almost worked. But you today, you sit here showing how we overcame the challenges. When I left here, I became a state prosecutor. And then I said, is this the life I want to lead for the rest of my life? And when the new dawn of South Africa came to be, I said, it's time for me to get into business. Because in the townships, the beer hall was owned by government. The shop building was owned by government. They only decided who to give it to. And it will be the only guy that has a business in the township. We're not allowed to be involved in formal business. Matter of fact, at school, English teacher will come and say, today we are going to be looking at how to apply for a job. The beginning. My name is Robert Matana Kumede. I'm a very responsible boy. I have passed standard 9, which is grade 8 today, because matric, in most cases, was not even a choice. It was not even an option. You had the highest grade was a grade 8. If you needed to go through matric, you probably had to drive 300 kilometers away to be able to get to do your grade 12, as they say today. That's how difficult and how hard the barriers have been. But I'm testimony today that if you dream it, you can achieve it. And I do not want to repeat what Professor Siepe said about me and my businesses. But it's very important for you to understand that to become a successful entrepreneur, you need to work hard and work smart. Choose the market that you need to invest in, and make sure that you can create sustainable jobs for our people. Today, in one of my businesses, which is Toves, which is involved in tourism, those of you who have an opportunity to fly international, when we still had SAA, you see they'll be pushing trolleys selling liquor, perfumes, you name it. You also fly in British Airways worldwide. You also fly in Virgin Airlines worldwide. You fly in Kenyan Airways, Ethiopian Airways, fueling in Spain. All those trolleys and the goods belong to this boy from Nelspruit. Hence, I'm saying, if you dream it, you can achieve it. Everything is possible. You just have to want it more. Then you will succeed. I'm a proud Pan-Africanist. I strongly believe that Africans are the only ones who can provide African solutions to African challenges. It is not the Chinese, it's not the Russians, it's not the Americans. We have been used as a pawn in the fight by the big countries who use Africa as a battleground for world domination. I've been doing business in the African continent, in Mother Africa, for over 20 years. Because I understood that as South Africa, we have a greatest opportunity to export what works here, what has been tried, to the rest of the continent, where most of the infrastructure that exists today is what the colonial powers built in the 50s and left in the 60s. The beauty about doing business in Africa, business is done in US dollars. If you were to compare the cost of capital, the exchange rate between our rand and the US dollar is 15. So you work hard in South Africa to make 1 rand. If you go to Mozambique, you work hard, put in the same effort, and you get paid 15 rands. It's not rocket science. You are graduating post, not necessarily post because we are now on the 5th wave of the pandemic. What is very important is the fact that the world has transformed itself into a different trajectory to what we knew. We live in a business unusual era. And the globe has become a global village. If you do not resort to adapt to these changes, you'll die. Technology has taken the center stage during this pandemic. You are testimony to that. As the professor indicated, that you all had to become IT savvy for you to be able to be where you are today and graduate by using technology. We know that the 5 months total lockdown is something that we never expected. When we spoke pre-COVID of the fourth industrial revolution, we never thought it would be accelerated so much. IT has become a disruptor globally. But like an entrepreneur soldier, I know that where there is chaos, where there's unknowns, there lies a great business opportunity. This is the time to thrive. The silver lining in the cloud today offers huge opportunities and should be exploited to speed up the industrialization of Mother Africa. Africa and its minerals hold the key to the new electric batteries, as I often call it, electric everything. Those technologies will not work without the minerals that are embedded beneath the soils of Mother Africa. It is our opportunity to take charge and not export raw material as has been happening and get the continent to begin to beneficiate. Africa has over 1.3 million population, slightly higher than China and India. China and India do not have the minerals that we have. Africa is pregnant with minerals that should help us to create sustainable jobs and rich people. Africa that we talk about, Africa that gave me and you this beautiful skin, not only gave refuge to our freedom fighters, they funded our struggle for freedom. And Africa is looking at South Africa to help them, to industrialize like South Africa is. Africa has abundance of water, but not a drop to drink. We have the technologies here to be able to help them. Africa has arable land that is sitting fallow. The whole world is looking for land for their food security. Our farmers are well known for what they produce, and there lies an opportunity to go into the continent and get land for free. And there lies an opportunity for us, especially you, the smart ones, engineers, agriculturalists, to go and work in the continent. However, it pains me to see black on black economic violence against fellow Africans through well-sponsored vigilante groups. We do know our challenges in South Africa is the unemployment rate that is very high amongst our people, in particular young people, and including those who hold tertiary qualifications. But we cannot blame our Congolese brothers, our Zimbabwean brothers, our Tanzanian brothers, our Nigerian brothers for all the wrongs, because it's not every one of them who's a criminal. Our anger as a people should be focused on getting our government to do what we voted them in for, to make sure that the borders stop leaking. The issue of migration is a world phenomenon. When Donald Trump was put in office, he changed the world and spread nationalism. He brought back the era of Hitler, who maimed over 6 million Jews because he didn't believe they belonged in Germany. We cannot go back to that era. We have to make sure that we fix what, unfortunately, our various presidents and ministers of Home Affairs have not been able to do since 1994, to put together an immigration policy. There is no country that closes its borders for people who are applying for refugee status. Where it all went wrong in our country, instead of setting up refugee centers, register everybody that comes into the country, we allowed people to integrate. That is where the problem started. Nothing wrong with integration, but process people. Because when I travel anywhere in Africa, I still have to produce my passport. But think back, when Umkhonto weSizwe was formed, when Mandela sneaked out of the country to get military training, did he have a passport? Did C.S. Mashinini have a passport? Was he put in a refugee center? No, he was welcomed. Therefore, we cannot forget the people of Zambia who were bombed by the apartheid government. We cannot forget Matola in Mozambique. We cannot forget Botswana massacre. Because those people harbored us. Many of our family members went to exile and they got the best education. That's why when we formed the new government, we took a country whose GDP was floundering. It had so much debt. Under President Mbeki, we brought down the debt from 60% of our GDP to 23%. That's a mean feat for a liberation movement to achieve within a short space of time, where we turn the decline of South Africa. So it is fallacy to think it's only Africans who are in the country unlawful. We know that Chinese and Asians have been running scams of taking IDs of women workers and marry them to their folks who will be in their respective countries, and they come into South Africa. It is only when our sister gets married or wants to get married to her boyfriend, and she gets to the office at Home Affairs they say, but you are married. And the sister says, I'm not married. Says, no, we are Mrs. Wong Ting. Those are the criminals that destroys families. The current impasse amongst Africans is not just xenophobic for me, but it is sheer racist. As no foreign white or Asian are targeted. We need to get our government to document all foreigners, period. As I've said, we must isolate the few criminals amongst foreigners in our country. And if you look around the vandalism of infrastructure, who do we find as the people who are funding this vandalism? Are the owners of scrap metals. In Kenya, they have outlawed scrap metals because they also went through the same challenge that we did. The danger is, this is an African century. Every country in the world is looking into Africa for their economic growth. If we do not handle this, the economic doors will be shut on our faces as South Africa. So we need to deal with this issue. Also keeping into mind that we want to do business in the African continent. You as scientists, be it in the design and construction of infrastructure, food security for Africa, healthcare, are right at the top of the needs of African countries. You should really focus on pursuing business because Africa sees South Africa as an ideal partner to them rather than the former colonial powers. So let's not allow ourselves to become victims of opportunities because of our anti-African xenophobic attitude. We now have an Africa Free Trade Agreement that allows free movement of goods, and we must take advantage of that. So it means you can have a factory here in Skawini and export your product to Egypt without paying tax. This is how Europe has been operating for over 4 decades. You have to worry more about creating not just wealth for yourself, but creating jobs for our people. I know that you need role models for you to look up to. You are lucky. Unlike us, when we got into business, we had no role models. Our role model was Oppenheimer and Rupert, who are not black, who have benefited from the apartheid government. You are now becoming, as professionals, the new middle class, leaders and entrepreneurs. You need to understand global events that impact global economic development and the social fabric. Let me share a bit of history, because you'll be able to compare what happened then to what is happening now. In 1914 until 1918, there was the First World War. The war ended in 2018, and guess what? in 1919 to 1920, there was a pandemic, Spanish flu, where people use masks to save themselves. There was no vaccine, and it is reported that over 50 million people died globally. But you know that they didn't count Africans who died. So we are all beneficiaries of our forebears who survived the Spanish flu. From 1921, there was a recession stemming from the war, the First World War. In 1928, the Great Depression that affected the world over caused havoc. In the midst of the Depression, World War II started in 1939. The irony of it all is that countries of the world came together to fight against Hitler. And it was only when Russia entered the war that they were able to beat Hitler. In 1945, the world got together to form the United Nations, and South Africa was in the middle of that. In 1949, a Berlin conference was held that cut Africa into 49 states, and the colonial powers dished countries to themselves. And in the UN, 5 countries hold a veto, and that is the United States, Russia, China, France, and Germany. And that is when they started creating the problems that we are faced with today. NATO was formed in 1949 during the Cold War, pitting America and Russia on one side. Fast track that to 100 years later, 2019, not 1919. Remember Spanish flu in 1919. 2019 we have COVID. We are wearing masks. And the world has been able to produce vaccine in a record time. We have global recession. As we start with the economic recovery, the Russian-Ukraine war starts. We are now affected because food prices is going to go high, oil is going to go high, fertilizer is in shortage. So I'm saying this so that you understand how the world operates. What you, as the ones who are graduating today, you need to plan for the next 100 years so that all what I've mentioned, you are ready for it when they happen. I'm a COVID-19 survivor, and thanks to the vaccine, but I had to bury many of my families before the vaccine was made available. I had mentioned earlier about my tourism business. When in March 2020, the president announced a state of national disaster, there were no planes flying, all hotels were closed, we all had to stay with our families. That business alone, I employ over 6,500 people. How do I tell my staff members, I'm not going to pay you your salary when they are not the reason? And thanks God, we had the money. We spent 1.4 billion rand cash that we had in the business to pay salaries to our people. Never retrench anyone during the height of COVID. Our salary bill was 300 million a month. You can just imagine the pain. Many people were saying, why didn't you close the business and take the money and spend it with your family? But as a businessman, you always think things will turn around. As my opposition folds, there comes a time for me to rise, and I'll dominate tourism because my competition has folded. That's what a smart entrepreneur does. We focus on saving lives and livelihoods of our staff members. And I'm proud that I could invest in my people, the people who make money for me. We are seeing the fight that is unfolding in Ukraine and Russia, and we hope it will be resolved sooner. And we now need to say, what can we do with these opportunities? You do not need to leave the continent to seek greener pastures, because it is indeed an African sanctuary. Africa is our beginning and Africa is our ending. As I indicated earlier, everybody is trying to get into Africa to take our mineral resources. It's our time. We need all of us to be proud Africans, like the Black Consciousness Movement leader, the late Steve Biko, who was killed by the apartheid police, preached to us. Black is beautiful, so that we can stop self-hate. And I'd like you to whisper to your neighbor, black is beautiful. You know, when you succeed in an economy and you punch above your waist, it is so unfortunate that the media in South Africa is white-owned. And when I took over a rugby team that was run by the racist Louis Late, who took Mandela to court, instead of them that I have saved a white rugby team, they were calling me a billionaire, black billionaire. They were not calling me a black businessman, but Rupert is called a businessman. This is done so that they can take the few of us who are successful and make us look like we are elitist. We are not part of you. We don't come from you. We don't come from sheikhs. Because we cannot allow ourselves to be called names which are an insult. Because the money we make, we don't steal. Doing business with government is our bloody right. It's your right to demand to do business for government. Because this is how the Afrikaners were helped to progress after the English who dominated the economy of South Africa. From 1948, when the Nationalist Party took over government of an Afrikaner, they passed laws of procurement preferential treatment for Afrikaners. One of my brother is a policeman. And he had, at the time, almost 6 years experience as a policeman. And a young Afrikaner was also employed as a policeman. From the first day that this year, a young Afrikaner boy policeman joined, he became my brother's boss. That's where we come from. So the issue, the struggle that you face is the struggle of privileges versus equality. It is not only here in South Africa, it is all over. I employ a lot of white staff members. And when I go to meetings with them, the people that I meet, when they speak, they talk to my white employee because they think I work for him. It's prejudice. Is the issue of privilege versus equality. We spoke about mining. We have opportunities to really grow because we Africans, in Africa we have abundance of mines or minerals, and South Africa have experience in mining. We have one of the biggest mines in the Congo producing copper and cobalt. Many people have come forward to say they'd like to buy the business, and we said no, we want to develop it for ourselves. Africa is open for business. Look at MTN, Vodacom, ShopRite, their growth in the continent. The other point that we need to consider is about who we are and where do we come from. I was fascinated. I'd taken the government of Zululand to the KZN government to DRC. And when we got there, people, as we're speaking amongst ourselves, the guys were telling us what we were saying. I then learned that one of the biggest languages in DRC is Lingala. 30% of Lingala's language is made up of Zulu. And this is what demonstrates of who we are as a people. We recently had an opportunity where one of us got a Grammy Award following on the footsteps of Black Mambazo, that is black coffee, and we are happy for that. Who would have thought that a boy from Soweto will host the Oscars? And 2 weeks ago, he hosted the US President White House media event. And he roasted the President of the US and made fun of him and received a standing ovation. That is what the world has for us. Today, Trevor Noah is so influential. And Professor Siepe, you remember, he was an MC at my wedding before he went to America. I've made mention earlier of a Pretoria boy, Elon Musk, who is the world's richest man. Today, he developed the first ever electric vehicle under the Tesla brand. He also challenged himself and built a spaceship to go to the moon. And recently, he bought Twitter for $44 billion, 705 billion rands. These are opportunities that are there for you. The world is waiting for you. You have been born at the right time. We are graduating at the right time and from the right university that is respected worldwide. You have a chance to yet again make your parents and forefathers proud. For you to succeed, you must have a winning mentality. Winning mentality means you mustn't be just ambitious. Have a defined ambition that you will chase. You have to reinvest in your business for growth. Do not buy what we all chase, black man's wish, BMW, or a Lamborghini when you are involved in a construction, but buy a van to help grow your business. A time will come when you have created sustainable wealth for you to buy a Lamborghini. Trust me, I have all these useless toys, and I look them at my garage, Rolls-Royce, Ferrari, Lamborghini. They are useless. I'll tell you this, the best investment that I have made were my family homes. I have a house in Johannesburg, and I have a home in Nelspruit. The second best investment that I've made was buying myself an aeroplane to go and do business. And the aeroplane is my wheelbarrow. Because if I want to go and do business in Nigeria, it's 5 hours away from where I am. So, you guys graduating this morning, there's this problem of a mobile phone. Be careful of this device. Be careful of this device. It created problems for Donald Trump. He lost his presidency because he could not restrain himself from tweeting. Watch Instagram. I'm now talking to you as an employer. Not that I expect you to become employees, because I expect you to become business people. What you post today will outlive you. When you go to a party, you can dance, but watch what you say. Watch what you do. Because I run a company that does recruitment. We check your social media to understand your character. Because when we employ people, we want people that, remember what I said? I said this university develops people with a great character who are looking for the best character. So social media, whilst it's nice to be doing funny things and recording them, it may cost you a future, a job, business opportunity, and even a potential hobby. Because our mothers, when you come with your girlfriend or a boyfriend, they used to ask me, who is she? Where is she coming from? But they didn't have Google. Now, when my boys come with girlfriend, I ask where are they from, and I Google. Then I get to know. Then I'm able to tell my son, forget about this one. Enjoy it whilst it lasts. But you are not going to marry her. So please just make sure that your privacy remains private. When you make money, do not let money define who you are, but use money to define a better tomorrow for your family and for yourself. Money is a funny thing. When you have it, it says, spend me. You need to be humble, because if you're humble, money respects you, want to stay in your pocket. The world has produced many former millionaires than multimillionaires. I repeat, the world has produced former millionaires more than multimillionaires, because it's easy to make it and it is easy to lose it. Easy come, easy go. Be focused in what you do. If you follow academia, be focused. If you want to become a businessman, business lady, be focused. Be hands-on in everything that you do. Never shy away from taking calculated risk. You know, with me, my business model is simple. Any country that is chaotic, mismanaged, with no economic growth, is my next target. Because the best time to climb on the back of an elephant is when it is on its knees. So that when it rises with me on top of it to navigate better. Choose what I want to do. And Chancellor, Acting Chancellor, it is only in South Africa where I found it very bizarre that if you are an engineer, it's only in your business card you'll write Robert Gumet and below you put in BSc Engineering. Let me tell you what's happening in Africa. An engineer is treated the same way they treat a doctor. I will be called Engineer Robert Gumede. They won't call me Mister, they'll call me Engineer. This is who you are. Smartest of the lot, but you need lawyers to help you when you have problems. Just a reminder that now you are qualified. Help your siblings and parents to become better and better their lives. Shine a torch on your village. Remember, black tax is our culture that has been passed from generation to generation. When you buy a house, you get the bond amount that you have to pay. Before that house, consider the black tax that you have to pay for university of your siblings, to have money to bury your family, to have money to look after your parents. That's what, and that's who we are. So for me, when I receive a call on a Wednesday, I know somebody has died or somebody is in hospital and I have to be there for my family. And I've been there for my family before I made money because it's the right thing to do. Remember, I started working as a 7-year-old. Congratulations to Abazali for all your sacrifices to send your loved ones to this institution, to be able to gain knowledge and become professional. Importantly, I would like to take the opportunity yet again and congratulate you guys on having achieved this milestone in your lives as you graduate. Do not disappoint us. Be like an eagle that flies out of its nest to hunt for a meal. The world is your oyster. It is your time, God's time, for you to unleash your potential, anchored by self-belief. In closing, I'd like to leave you with this. Small minds discuss other people, they gossip. Good minds discuss events that they have shaped. Great minds discuss ideas that will change the world. As our icon, President Mandela, said, it is in your hands. Ngiyabonga. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Acting Chancellor, I think we can give a round of applause for Mr. Gumede for a very inspiring, wide-ranging, insightful presentation. Just to summarize one word, or what it said, I'll say, in my previous office, I used to have a poster that says there are three kinds of people: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened. And I think you'll know in which category Mr. Gumede belongs. We shall now, ladies and gentlemen, and the Acting Chancellor, proceed with conferring degrees and awards, and award diplomas and certificates. I request the candidates to take up their positions. I shall then call on the Dean of the faculty to present the candidates for various degrees and diplomas.
By virtue of the powers vested in me, I confer the degrees to candidates whose names appear on the.
I now have the honor to request the Dean of the faculty to present the graduates to you.
Acting Chancellor, I request you to confer the degrees and award diplomas and certificates to the candidates who have qualified for these awards, and as well as those persons in absentia whose names appear in the program.
I confer the degrees and award diplomas and certificates to candidates whose names appear on the program as requested.
Acting Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you postgraduate degrees candidates.
By virtue of the power vested in me, I confer the postgraduate degrees on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Acting Chancellor, Doctor of Philosophy, Biochemistry.
I confer the degree of Doctor of Philosophy on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Makosazana Stutuzile Matenjo. Title of the study: Structural, Biochemical, and In Silico Characterization of Saccharomyces cerevisiae ring finger domain from MPE1 protein towards drug discovery, supervised by Prof. Capo and co-supervised by Prof. Basson. I will now call the supervisor to read the summary.
The thesis was all about the SC ring domain as an ortholog of the human ring protein, hypothesized to have lost the first zinc binding site necessary for stability. Biologically important for the discovery of new or novel anti-cancer compounds. Recombinant expression, purification, and characterization of this protein using various computational and biochemical tools confirmed the protein identity, while biophysical characterization revealed the protein as characteristics of beta sheets, possesses a hydrophobic binding pockets, can partake in protein-protein interactions, and not an abnormal ring protein. Additionally, in silico, characterization using P53 inhibitors, MDM2 and MDMX, and the known anti-cancer compound RO2443 as a positive control identified zinc 1604695 as a druggable scaffold with potential anti-cancer properties. Molecular dynamics simulation confirmed the inhibitory binding nature of this compound to other tumorigenic proteins. These results provide structural data for the discovery of new anti-cancer compounds. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dogotela Matenjo. Congratulations.
Doctor of Philosophy, Computer Science, Aitoi Tosin Akinol. Title of the study: Enabling Network Stability in a Scalable Software-Defined Data Center Network. I request the supervisor to read the summary.
Sponsored by our industry partners, Telkom South Africa and Huawei Africa Limited, this study was carried out between 2018 and 2021. The research addressed the need to enhance network stability in a scalable, software-defined, and data-oriented data center network. The goal is to find a more robust and appropriate approach to fast network adaptation and economical utilization of network resources with no negative impairment on the expected optimal performance. The concept of adaptive rendering technique in computer graphics as a generic and analytically simple technique for high-level applicability to network flow was used in data center networks for the first time. The study resulted in improved performance demonstrated by faster stability, improved response time, network throughput, and speedy rate of convergence. The examiners unanimously agreed that the impact on data center networks is unique.
I present to you Dr. Akinola. Dr. Akinola, congratulations. Well done, sir.
Doctor of Philosophy, Physics, Linda Ndlej. The title of the study, Search for Collective Structures in the 186 osmium and 150 gadolinium nuclei. The supervisors were Prof. Nchangase, Prof. Lori, Prof. Shapi Skefer, and Dr. Majol. I now call the supervisor to read the summary.
The thesis is all about collective structure in the osmium 186 and 150 gadolinium nucleus. One of the central challenges in nuclear structure physics is to properly understand the nature of the structure built on the excited state of 0+, 2+, and 4+ state in the rotational deformed nucleus. Despite the extensive theoretical and experimental studies that have been done on this structure, their microscopic identity remain unclear. To give more insight on this underlying nature of such a state, the excited band in the 186 osmium and 150 gadolinium nuclei were investigated at Itemba Labs utilizing the Aphrodite gamma spectrometer. The thesis described the investigation of the observed band properties of these nuclei and make a considerable contribution to the understanding of the low-lying positive parity bands in 186 osmium. The collective structure in these nuclei are interpreted in the context of systematic comparison with the neighboring even osmium isotopes, and are also compared with the results of calculation using a range of nuclear models. The calculation predicts that the collective structure in 186 osmium are associated with different nuclear shape varying in quadrupole, triaxiality, and gamma softness. These results have been submitted for publication in the international peer-reviewed journal Physical Review C.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dr. Mdleche. Dr. Mdleche, congratulations.
Acting Chancellor, Master of Science, Biochemistry.
I confer the degree of Master of Science, Biochemistry on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Sanele Mot Nondumiso Dung. Nomfundo Nzuza, degree with distinction. Harayachi Tiara, degree with distinction. Acting Chancellor, Master of Science, Botany.
I confer the degree of Master of Science, Botany on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Kulekani Cyprian Mbat,
Distinction. Obtained
degree
with
with distinction. Valencia Vuyisile Ndlangamandla, Siamkelesiwe Clarence Nguban, degree with distinction. Nontobeko Shokahle Zwan, degree with distinction. Acting Chancellor, Master of Science, Physics.
I confer the degree of Master of Science in Physics on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Ongezwa Mnet, degree with distinction. Mhlangano Freedom Nkalanga, Euphemia Nolwazi Nontobeko Shows, Acting Chancellor, Bachelor of Science Honours, Applied Mathematics.
So I've got to announce them. I'll do the masters first and finish them. So there are two that are absent. So no, I've got to say it. So now wait for you. Wait for you. Okay. I confer the degree of Master of Science, Computer Science on candidates whose names appear on the program in absentia. I confer the degree of Master of Science, Human Movement Science on candidates whose name appear on the program in absentia. Thank you.
Acting Chancellor, Bachelor of Science Honours, Applied Mathematics.
I confer the degree of Bachelor of Science Honours, Applied Mathematics on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Nonhlanhla Nokubonga Mteto, Atule Vusana, Acting Chancellor, Bachelor of Science Honours, Biokinetics.
I confer the degree of Bachelor of Science Honours Biokinetics on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Cindy Joyisa, degree with distinction. Sfundile Zamazulu, Mapumbulu, degree with distinction. Nonkululeko Mate, Ntando yenkosi Balungile Ndleje. Acting Chancellor, Bachelor of Science, Honours, Botany.
I confer the degree of Bachelor of Science Honours Botany on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Amen Celinsilelo Mpunguzi. Kulasande Siyabonga Ngobo. Acting Chancellor, Bachelor of Science, Honours, Chemistry.
I confer the degree of Bachelor of Science Honours Chemistry on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Nkosi Nontando Nondumiso Buthelezi. Pamela Gebashe. Nomfundo Mbambo. Sean Smangaliso Ntuli. Minelisi Shangi. Acting Chancellor, Bachelor of Science, Honours, Computer Science.
I confer the degree of Bachelor of Science Honours Computer Science on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Lehlohonolo Innocent Mangena. Sinenkosi Masinga. Pilasande Tubelihle Mkhwanazi. Sabelo Blessing Msezana. Skhulile Sibonisiwe Nkosi. Ayanda Spamandla Nkwanyana. Yetu kwenzeka Inanmandla Twala. Acting Chancellor, Bachelor of Science, Honours, Geography.
I confer the degree of Bachelor of Science Honours Geography on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Anele Nokwasi Sithole. Acting Chancellor, Bachelor of Science, Honours, Hydrology.
I confer the degree of Bachelor of Science Honours Hydrology on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Ayanda Spamandla Mbatha. Precious Nompumelelo Nikan. Acting Chancellor, Bachelor of Science Honours Physics.
Confer the degree of Bachelor of Science Honours Physics on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Kulekani Bantu Bonke Manqel. Tutukile Nomvelo Pumla Ngem. Lumkile Ngwaz, degree with distinction. Mfundo Nkanyiso, Zoom. Acting Chancellor, Bachelor of Science Honours Statistics.
I confer the degree of Bachelor of Science Honours Statistics on candidates whose names appear on the program.
Ntanta Goodman Tem. Njabulo Praise God Nsimbande, degree with distinction. Acting Chancellor, Bachelor of Science.
I confer the degree of Bachelor of Science on candidates whose names appear on the program.
I now call Prof. Ntulu to call the names.
Olwethu Pengu, Zanele Happy Pengu, Sibona konke Nsizwa Biyela, Siboniso Austin Blose, Mbali Buthelezi, Nthokozisi Thubelihle Buthelezi, Ndumiso Manqoba Buthelezi, Noxolo Nondumiso Buthelezi, Philani Emmanuel Buthelezi, Sibekezelo Praise God Buthelezi, Silondile Anisia Buthelezi, Smiso Buthelezi, Simpiwe Nomathemba Buthelezi, Sithembiso Emmanuel Cele, Bongane Jones Chavani. Nokubonga Chili. Sethabile Philisiwe Chiliza. Andiswa Chongo. Thandeka Happy Dindi. Sibonelo Dladla. Samgelisiwe Nogaga Dlamini. Sinethemba Luyanda Nondumiso Dlamini. Thobeka Dlamini. Kwanele Nombulelo Dludla. Cebo lakhe Vincent Dubazane. Ngobile Nosipho Dubazane. Nonhlanhla Dube. Samgelisiwe Princess Dube. Sinothile Dube. Sibahle Duma. Nomkhosi Hlengiwe Dumakude. Sibongiseni Dumakude. Fundo Telvin Dan. Timnofto Lihle Fakude. Zizo Finiza. Philasande Gamete. Nontando Thokozile Gazu. Nothando Witness Gumbi. Bongani Sthunywa Maneliswa Gumede. Fikile Sinenhlanhla Gumede. Nomasonto Rachel Gumede. Nonjabulo Penelope Gumede. Pindokuhle Siyabonga Gumede. Smangele Fikisiwe Gumede. Sanele good enough Gwala. Zilungile Funulwazi Hlatshwayo. Sithembile Simphiwe Hlela. Sipho sethu Nomfundo Hleza. Sekwanele Prosperous Hlubi. Londeka Jali. Nolwazi Fanele Jobe. Nokwanda Lucia Kondowe. Bradley Khosa. Nompilo Portia Khoza, degree with a distinction. Bongeka Spesihle Khumalo. Mandisa Thandi Khumalo. Msawakhe Nsizwa Khumalo. Kosikhona Sinenhlanhla Khumalo. Nokubongwa Thembela Khumalo. Sandisiwe Amahle Khumalo. Siphesihle Langelihle Khumalo. Siyabonga Kenneth Khumalo. Londiwe Precious Kubheka. Lungisa Ntombizonke Thandeka Kunene. Siphiwe Lungisile Kunene. Loganathan, Sipamandla Lulane, Celiwe Luthuli, Nosipho Lihle Mabanga, Siyabonga Emmanuel Mabaso, Bongumenzi Edward Mabiga, Dalisu Qiniso Mabuya, Sivuyile Maqi, Melusi Xolani Maxwele, Nonhle Zamazimba Madi, Andiswa Immaculate Majola, Tutugo Handsome Makhathini, Simiselelo Makhoba, Nobuhle Masha Maphumulo, Nompilo Masinga, Sanelsiwe Patience Mathangana, Namhla Yedil Mathe, Fezeka Nokubonga Thabile Mathenjwa, Magdine Siyabonga Mathenjwa, Zanele Beauty Mathenjwa, Siwongiwe Matomane, Phelokazi Mavuso, Duduzile Mazibuko, Kwanele Prudence Mbanjwa, Nomhle Mbatha, Nomonde Sandile Mbatha, Thulisa Thembelihle Mbatha, Zamokuhle Pretty Mbatha. Lizeka Mbazana. Cassandra Nomvula Mbazima. Nosipho Pracy Bonambi. Amahle Tina Mbuyisa. Lindokuhle Ncebo Mbuyisa. Ayanda Zama Mchunu. Sanele Innocent Mchunu. Bonga ngithini Fezile Mdletshe. Ayanda Mdluli. Sithembele Memela. Sibonga konke Mgenge. Fanele Nokwanda Mhlongo. Sithabiso Mhlongo, a degree with distinction. Lungelo Mia. Nontuthuzelo Vuyokazi Mia. Asanda Siphelele Mkhize. Lungelo Mkhize. Manqoba Mkhize. Nompumelelo Thembelihle Mkhize. Siphiwe Nolwazi Mkhize. Thandeka Bridget Mkhize. Khula nathi Frida Mkhwanazi. Samgelisiwe Silindile Mkhwanazi. Zekhethelo Siyethemba Mkhwanazi. Minenhle Clinton Mkhongi. Mugelo Fortune Mlambo. Thulile Immaculate Mlambo. Slindile Thulebona Mlangeni. Muzomuhle Patrick Mlotshwa. Mastole Phakeme Mngoma. Sipho Mngoma. Andile Magnificent Mngomezulu. Nomfundo Mngomezulu. Wandile Thabani Mnyandu. Zenzele Sikhumbuzo Mnyandu. Yolanda Tlaleng Mukwena. Amanda Nokuthula Mbali Mlifi. Noxolo Prudence Mkhonto. Thokozani Halalisani Mtaung. Qhamngile Nomusa Mpanza. Xolani Mpontshane. Bonile Nonzuzo Pungose. Tanya Nomcebo Msibi. Nomcebo Ngenisile Mswane. Lihle Msweli, the degree obtained with distinction. Siphesihle Msweli, the degree obtained with distinction. Sifiso Mthalane. Anele Mthembu. Khethiwe Mthembu. Michelle Luyanda Mthembu. Nompumelelo Nothando Mthembu. Sthembiso Ayanda Fortune Mthembu. Dumisani Velem Mthethwa. Mbali Phindile Mthethwa. Minenhle Sinothile Mthethwa. Sbu Asande Mthimkhulu. Thobeka Nosihle Geraldine Mthimkhulu. Khayelihle Langelihle Mthiyane. Mzuzu Jampia Mthiyane. Bongiwe Thandeka Mtshali. Mzomuhle Thubelihle Khondri Mvelase. Banele Lafika Mvubu. Mthobisi Joy Muandla. Zanempilo Ayanda Mzimela. Sinothile Mzizi. Mthobeli Qhamane Mzobotshe. Mazwi Mzulwini. Kulego Sfundo Philani Nala. Sikhulile Zanele Ncanana. Sinegugu Nothando Ndaba. Zanele Ndabandaba. Banele Thabiso Ndebele. Khanyisani Ndebele. Lindokuhle Ndebele. Nqobile Ndlovu. Sabelo Henry Dlangamandla. Ntombenkulu Dlazi. Ayanda Sinenhlanhla Ndlovu. Lindokuhle Ndlovu. Lungelo Keryu Ndlovu. Luyanda Ndlovu. Mandisa Sinethemba Ndlovu. Qinisela Ndlovu. Nomfundo nokwanda Ndwandwe. Siphiwe really Ndwandwe. Meluleki Terence Ngobo. Minenhle Ngobo. Sindisiwe Sinethemba Ngobo. Andile Ngema. Samgelo Christian Ngema. Gugu Sindisiwe Angel Ngobese, the degree obtained with a distinction. Lindiwe Ntombikhona Ngobese. Kosinathi Mongeni Ngqulunga. Andile Simphiwe Ngubane, the degree with distinction. Thulani Khayelihle Ngubane. Hlakanipho Brilliant Ngubelanga. Nombuso Ngwane. Mlungisi Phathi Hlabathi. Sithobile Njoko. Anele Luyanda Nkomo. Mandisa Nkosi. Nompilo Nontsikelelo Nkosi. Sandile Nkosi. Thembiso Sibusiso Nkosi. Chidima Nwanika Nimika. Sikhulile Siphokuhle Ntsimbi. Silindelo good enough Tanda. Anita Mbali Tisana. Qiniso Siyabonga Tshangase. Ntombikayise Cynthia Ntombela. Thandazile buyelaphi Ntuli. Nomonde Ntuli. Vusisizwe Siduduzo Ntuli. Lungisani kwenza Ncele. Ayanda Khayelihle Nxumalo. Ayanda Sabelo Nxumalo. Bongumusa Nxumalo. Thotshiswa Celimpilo Nxumalo, the degree obtained with distinction. Kosingphile Thandeka Nyawo. Thuthukani Jabulani Nyawo. Mzwandile Nzimande. Thandaphi Nzimande. Sinegugu Mandisa Nzuza. Bongisa Quba. Andile Qwabe. Mphakamiseni Phungula. Silindokuhle Sanele Radebe. Kivash Ruplal. Minenhle Sicelo Sangweni. Londiwe Shabalala. Sinethemba Wandile Shabalala. Sizakele Jabule Shandu. Lindokuhle Shangase. Zamani Shezi. Bandile Bridget Shozi. Ncedisi Shozi. Nokwanda Celiwe Sibeko. Mzwandile Sibiya. Nomcebo Phumlile Sibiya. Nosipho Phel Sibiya. Thandokuhle Sipho Sethu Sikhakhane. Nondingeko Dinewo Simelane. Nokukhanya Sikhakhane. Bheko kwakhe Sibonelo Sithole. Gcinokuhle Sithole. Nganelisiwe kwanele Sithole. Samgelisiwe Nqobile Sithole. Aphelele Skhosana, the degree obtained with distinction. Sonia Joyce Stradom. Sifiso Lindokuhle Thethwayo. Siphelele Thandekile Thethwayo. Nohlanhla Cecilia Thobela. Nokubonga Sanele Thusini. Palisa Tiny Chabangu. Minenhle Vunandlala. Liva Vusani. Sinethemba Xaba. Beauty Busisiwe Xulu. Bongokuhle Xulu. Minenhle Tholumuzi Xulu. Nonhle Qondile Xulu. Thobelani Hlakaniphani Xulu. Sibongeleni Zamisa. Hlengiwe Samgelisiwe Loveness Zikhali. Lindani Zikhali. Mandla kayise Christian Zikhali. Snothile Zikhali. Xolani John Zikhali. Nomonde Zondi. Kwanele Zulu. Mandle Nkosi Kethukuthula Zulu. Silindile Zulu. Bhekokuhle Muzi weNkosi Zungu. Mthobisi Magnificent Zwane. Ntombi futhi Lisa Zwane.
Inkosi khawulala makhawe.
Gitele pele, gitele pele, gitele pele, gitele pele, gitele pele, gitele pele.
Please sit down so that we can proceed. Acting Chancellor, we now presenting the Vice Chancellor's Top Achievers Awards. These are the students who achieved the highest marks in their fields of studies. I will now call their names and they should come to the stage. Lihle Msweli. Joy Mtobisi Mwandla.
Sanmonani. Aye, ma scientist, aye. Aye, engineer, aye. The acting Chancellor, Prof. Ntose, acting Vice Chancellor, Prof. Siepe, Chairperson of Council, Ms. Kaluza, Deputy Vice Chancellors present, the Registrar and Deputy Registrars, esteemed Senate members, members of the Executive Management present, Deans of Faculties, Dean of Students, importantly, our keynote speaker, Mr. Kumet, greetings. The academic staff, members of the university, the President of Convocation in absentia, Reverend representative of Kwamkwana's traditional authority, and all members of staff present, SRC members present, and the wonderful, the magnificent University of Zululand choir. Ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all, and I reserve a special greeting to our graduates from the Faculty of Science, Agriculture, and Engineering. It is such a pleasure to share in the intensity of emotions filling this venue as you are graduating to close this chapter of your life story. Bazali, you are probably wondering where the years have gone as you marvel at your sons and daughters' accomplishments. It doesn't seem that long ago when these young adults we honor today were toddling off to start kindergarten. Of course, living through those years between primary schooling, kindergarten, and graduation may have seemed like an eternity for students and for some parents as well. Allow me to convey, ladies and gentlemen, my heartfelt congratulations and gratitude to our parents who today took their time and came to support us with their prayers, with the belief that they have shown us throughout our journey in pursuit of these qualifications that are conferred to us today. Graduates, you are the class of 2021. You graduate in a century still in its infancy. At a time in history when our world is dealing with enormous challenges such as the COVID-19 pandemic, unemployment, and inequality, perennial GBV incidents, and so on. At a time when the opportunities created by those challenges have never been greater. Innovation, creativity, and always thinking ahead and out of the box and venturing in areas like entrepreneurship seems to be the only hope for our future. Today, we are gathered here to celebrate a journey of a black child, ladies and gentlemen. The journey that has been filled with challenges deriving from the poor background, yet we are gathered here today to celebrate the victory of hard workers. We are joining hands with the young people from the dirty streets of our country to celebrate this enormous victory. We rejoice because it has never been easy for us as young black children growing up in a society characterized by anti-education stereotypes and drug abuse and many other challenges faced by our young people in our country and in our society in general. But we know now that education and education only is the answer to all the prevailing challenges of the epoch. Today, if I were to highlight one theme, it would be the global passport offered to you by education. Education has the power, ladies and gentlemen, to change our world and transform our past into a better future. It has the power to advance our social and economic potential. Education is everything. Young people, let us not end here, but we must challenge ourselves, scientists, agriculturalists, to take a fight against the high rate of unemployment and other ills, because I believe that it's us young and educated people who have the responsibility to take this country forward. The late President Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was a firm believer of the power of an educated mind and had once shared these words, open and close quotes, "It is not beyond our power to create a world in which all children have access to a good education. Those who do not believe this have small imaginations." As this SRC, ladies and gentlemen, we are very happy and excited that we have achieved this great milestone. We wish you all the great success with your dreams and careers ahead. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, scientists, engineers, agriculturalists, to leave you with these words or these thoughts from Fenton Howard. Open and close quotes, always walk through life as if you have something new to learn, and you will learn. Today marks the end of one chapter, but also marks the beginning of a new chapter. So let's keep learning, keep rising, and in conclusion, I must comment that this important celebration of such a special milestone marks the next phase of our lives, your future. And of course, such achievements and success have never been made possible through the strong academic leadership and management of this great institution, ongoing. Our university, our pride. Hence we say, my Unizulu, your Unizulu, our Unizulu, and ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to every one of you, and you look beautiful. I thank you.
Acting Vice Chancellor, Prof. Siepe. Acting Chancellor, Prof. Mtose. The Unizulu Management, Academic and Support Staff, President of Convocation, Mr. Nkwanyan and his executive, representatives from Mkwanazi Traditional Authority, the local chiefs, the SRC representatives, SG and President, our guest speaker, Mr. Kumete, mayors of the district and local municipalities that may be present, business partners, parents, guardians, relatives, and sponsors, our graduates, are all acknowledged and greeted. Firstly, I want to congratulate the two graduates who are here receiving the Vice Chancellor's awards. Congratulations. The guest speaker has reminded us about our past, and I want to challenge women that in future must also see women graduates receiving the Vice Chancellor's award in this faculty. I'm here representing the University of Zululand Council, and mine is just to give the vote of thanks, and I foreground the vote of thanks on the words of our late President Mandela, who declared globally, and his words continue to stay with us, continue to inspire us, and encourage us to do more in education. President Nelson Mandela said, "I open and close quote, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." You have graduated today. You are now graduates of this university. But as council, we want to remind you that a graduation signifies many things to many people. To some, it signifies growth, it signifies progress, as well as transformation. I'm therefore honored to share this momentous occasion with you. This graduation is validation of your hard work and dedication through difficult times of the global pandemic that has faced the whole world. And that is why the council wants to congratulate you. Your graduation is placing you in good stead to navigate through the challenges of life. Want to say, please, stay focused on your goals. Otherwise, the time, the effort, and the money that you have spent in this university will be a waste. Your journey as a student may come to an end with this graduation this morning and at this time because we have graduated. But we say you must never stop learning, for your success should be a springboard to greater success. I wish to express my gratitude to all key role players that despite the prevalence of a pandemic, they collectively contributed in making this ceremony a success. I count the Vice Chancellor, the Deputy Vice Chancellors, the Deans of the respective faculties, especially this faculty, the academics of this university, the Office of the Registrar, the Communication and Marketing Division, the Protective Services Division, Information and Communication Technology Division, the Physical Planning and Operations Division, the health services of this university, the cleaners of the university, the SRC, yourselves, students who are graduates, as well as abazali, those close family members, the extended family members, your neighbors, and anyone who contributed to your success. Sifuna basibonge kakhulu kubo, and you are aware ukuthi it's because of their prayers that today you have graduated. There's one thing abangayazi ukuthi when they were praying for your success, they were also praying for this university to continue to deliver the good news that we are now witnessing as the public. Lastly, I want to thank the choir. That drum connects us with our roots. Thank you, Mr. Kumede. You may not be aware that your speech was not only to the graduates, but to all of us. You have connected us with our past so that we plan and we shape our future accordingly. And these graduates have been given all the tools and all the weapons for their future. And for that, as council, we want to thank you and thank everyone who managed to make time for this graduation. Thank you.
To the congregation, please allow me to announce a very important guest that has not been acknowledged through this procession. Miss Deputy Minister Sindisiwe Chikunga, who's a Deputy Minister for Transport, who's here for the support she renders to this university, to our students. And I thank you, Deputy Minister, for being here with us today. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby declare this graduation ceremony officially closed. On behalf of the congregation, I would like to thank you for your presence in this ceremony.